I became a mum for the first time in 1998. I was 18. Behaviour started to change with his dad, and I discovered that he had a drug addiction. Why couldn't I have done more? Why couldn't I have stopped this from happening? When do I tell him about his dad? Do I tell him the real reason how his dad died? And in 2015, he appeared, my Mr. Right. My soulmate. We began dating in July 2015, and we go to the November of that year. I needed to go into hospital for things. Then started to, I would say, go wrong. I began to bleed whilst I was at work. I called the early pregnancy unit. I was advised to go in for a scan. So at this point, I'm 14 weeks and 4 days, but I was assured everything looked good, baby looked healthy. I left with hope, I suppose, not knowing what was to come. And sadly, she wasn't alive. I was then taken into hospital with the baby. Princess, we called it. That was a nickname, Princess. I was taken to hospital. I recall being in the ambulance, and it just felt like I was bleeding out. And there was complications for delivering the placenta, to the point they were prepping me to go into theatre. Ellie's gift, I like to call it love in your pocket, because that's what it is. It's the first of its kind. It's an app, downloadable app. It's full of resources. There's journaling tools, there's meditations. I'm the only paid member of the team, so I'm here. I'm in the Northwest, and my mission is to embed Ellie's gift wherever I can. They can also sign up, and then we'll get a new meditation each month. And there's also the social community that we have, so you can connect with other members. Lucy will run mindfulness sessions. We held a week throughout Baby Loss Week. Lucy actually launched her first book. She's Wonder Woman, she really is. She launched her first book, so it works alongside the app. It's more for afterwards. It's, I would say, 4 months post-loss.
Okay. Hello and welcome to the podcast Love, Life and Loss. Today I have the lovely Stacy joining me. Would you like to introduce yourself for me, please?
Good morning, Louisa. Thank you very much for having me. My name is Stacy. I'm here this morning to share my story and also touch on the work that we do at Ellie's Gift.
Oh, lovely. And thank you so much for agreeing to come on today. And I'm really excited for everybody to hear about Ellie's Gift as well, because I think it's amazing work that you're doing. But first and foremost, really excited to hear your story. So would you like to start from your beginning, whatever that looks like to you?
Yes. Okay. So I became a mum for the first time in 1998. Very young mum. I was 18. I was blessed with my son David. I recall growing up, girls that I was at school with wanted to go to beauty college or be a nursery nurse. I just wanted to be a mum. So I knew very early on that I wanted children. In terms of the pregnancy, it was wonderful. I enjoyed every moment of it. And then at the end I was blessed with a beautiful boy. Things went well, and David was about 3 months old, and behaviour started to change with his dad. So I could go a couple of days without seeing him. The contact wasn't as much, and I discovered that he had a drug addiction. It's something that he'd kept hidden. You do what you can in that scenario, and only being young myself, it was what do I do? And it was a tough time. It was a tough time, and you kind of give the ultimatums. And looking back, I suppose a lot of it was just false promises that I got, but I held on to that hope that he'd sort himself out, and we could be this family that we dreamed of being. The relationship ended sadly, as he passed away in August of 1999.
Oh,
Um, Drug overdose. David was just 9 months old. It was, yeah, it was hard. It was really hard back then, and be it I was 19 at the time, and I suppose that was my first experience of loss and grief.
okay.
Yeah, it was tough going, but I had to pull my socks up. I had this son that I needed to care for, and had to ensure that, he had everything that he needed, the love, the the home, and the family unit. I'm very fortunate that my parents lived very close by, and I had their full support.
Okay.
And then we jump, then we go to 2002, by which point I'm in a new relationship. The the chap I'm in the relationship with has taken David on as his own, which was wonderful. And I welcome my second child, another boy, Thomas. And yeah, things were great. We were a family unit of four. We was into the routine of work and homework for David, as well as the young Tom, the little rascal that he was. He tested me at times. He did that one. Um, but yeah, life was wonderful. I began work in the jewelry industry,
Okay.
which, yeah, who doesn't love things sparkly and shiny? So things were good. That relationship sadly ended in 2008. And I just thought, no, I'm taking a step back. I don't need to be in a relationship. I don't need the hassle. And I don't want any more heartache. I think,
Yeah.
being the age that I was, I was 28, I'd been through enough,
Yeah.
at this point. And it was just about having that time just to enjoy life, just me and the boys. Again, the support of my parents. And yeah, we just got on with it. And having the mindset, didn't want to be involved. Obviously, I wasn't looking. And in 2015, he appeared, my Mr. Right, my soulmate. We began dating in July of 2015. Daniel lived a little further afield from me, so we wasn't sort of seeing each other every day. It would be the odd weekend, maybe an evening during the week. Daniel has two children, um, to a previous relationship, so that would take up some of his weekends also. And we go to the November of that year, and he drove over early morning. I needed to go into hospital for a gynae procedure. He was adamant, I'm coming with you. It's just a procedure, but let him do his thing. And yeah, off we went. Um, so I booked in. I was invited to the nurses' station where they did the relevant checks that they would do, before a procedure, height, weight, blood pressure. I was asked to provide a urine sample. No hesitation, of course, yeah. I was then directed back to the waiting room and told next time I would be called, it would be to see the anaesthetist. Okay, so sat back. I'd literally been sat down a minute, and I was called back in. It was like, blimey, that was quick. That's great. Um, and it was the nurse's station again I was taken to, and she said to me, "You might want to sit down." I said, "Okay, okay." Um, she said, "You've tested positive. You're pregnant." And I just laughed. I just let out a laugh. And I went, yeah, right. And she said, no, Stacey, we've just done the test. And she's showing me this test. And I'm like, no, you're having a laugh. You're having me on. I can't be pregnant. And at the time I was on the depot injection. And it was like, no, no. She said, honestly. Anyway, cut a long story short, the procedure got cancelled. I left the hospital in tears. I think it was just the shock. Daniel's looking at me as if to say, what's happened? And I'm just thinking in my mind, how do I say, how do I tell him? We've only been dating a few months, and even though we'd never had the serious conversation of having children, it had sort of came into conversation, and I was under the belief it was something that neither of us, wanted to explore. Um, and we get in the car, and it's just all going round in my head. So I said to him, could we just stop at the Asda store? So yeah, okay, okay. So I goes into Asda, I purchases a pregnancy test, I go and use their toilet facilities, and I take this test, and I'm thinking, it's a waste of 15 quid that, but I'm going to prove them wrong. And then, yeah, it came up 3 plus. I'm thinking, wow, okay. So I'm thinking it's 3 weeks here at this point. We're on the drive, so I gets back in the car, and I recall Daniel paid me some kind of a compliment of some sort. And I just came out with it, and I went, I don't look bad, do I, considering my condition? And I just blurted it out. We get in the house, and it's like, right, what do I do? And it was like, I'm going to have a termination. This wasn't in the plan, and what if the relationship doesn't go anywhere, and that's then 3 children that,
Mm.
I'm potentially brought up on my own. So I called a GP. I was fortunate that I got in quite quickly with the GP. He took one look at me, and knew straight away. So we kind of had a conversation, and he wrote me a referral for an abortion. I was informed that I would get a call later that evening. So bearing in mind at this stage, I've got in my head I'm only 3 weeks. I get the call later that evening, and it was explained to me that there are different procedures dependent on how far pregnant you are.
Mhm.
And it was the latter of the procedures. And I just instantly thought, what are you doing? Well, why has that thought even entered your mind? This is your child. This is all you wanted, was to love, to nurture, to care. And I just felt this guilt. And then at that moment, I just knew, no, I'm not having abortion. And I was rather annoyed with myself for even having that thought, but I guess reflecting on it, I think that was perhaps the shock and maybe a little bit of fear. So I stuck with the telephone call, and I agreed to attend an appointment. I was told I would be scanned, and then we would discuss the procedure and when and what that would look like. Again, I was fortunate enough to get in fairly quickly. I attended, I want to say it was the next day, it could have been 2 days following. I attended the clinic. Again, different tests that they did. And then I had an ultrasound. I didn't actually see the screen. That's something that they don't show you. And the shocker of this is I was 14 weeks pregnant,
Oh wow. Oh my goodness.
which was just even more of a oof. Um, how have I gone this long without knowing? But obviously the depot injection can stop your periods, it can mess with your cycle. Um, so yeah, so we left the clinic. I'd obviously declined the abortion, and we left the clinic, and I just started to feel that little burst of excitement, um, and just really just trying to let it sink in. In the back of my mind, I had I had a bit of a fear that the depot could have maybe have caused some complications. Um, but no, that was put aside. We came home, we told the boys that evening. Um, David, being 17, was absolutely mortified. But they soon came round to the idea. So yeah, so things then started to settle and sink in. I, I went to work. I told my manager. She was absolutely shell shocked. I've gone from being this independent woman, not wanting to be in a relationship, not needing a man, and then all of a sudden, I'm sitting there telling her, hey, I'm pregnant. Which was lovely, the support, and they were so pleased for us. Things then started to, I would say, go wrong. I began to bleed whilst I was at work. I called the early pregnancy unit. I was advised to go in for a scan, which I did the following day, and they used it as my dating scan, if you will, because their term for it, I was a late booker, given how far I was. So at this point, I'm 14 weeks and 4 days. We are told that the baby's due on the 2nd of May 2016. I had a low-lying placenta, but I was assured everything looked good. Baby looked healthy. Baby was growing, and yeah, I left with hope, I suppose, not knowing what was to come. The bleeding continued, and it would vary from day to day. Some days it could be heavy, some days it could be light. I was advised this could be normal. However, if there was any other symptoms of cramping, and then I had to call. I still couldn't get this niggle out of my head that I'd had this depot injection, and has this. I just couldn't shift it. So I decided to book myself a private scan. So I attended for that on the 21st of November. I took mum along with me. Daniel had his children that weekend, so he was unable to be there. So I took mum, and the lady was lovely. Um, she she shared the news that I was having a little girl, and my heart sank. I was going to get to be a mum to a little girl, and I guess because it's something that I've never experienced, but I guess to have that, knowing the relationship I had with my mum, it's the your best friend, and to grow up having that, the shopping trips, the chit chats, the clothes, the makeup, the jewelry, and having all of that, my daughter, but also becoming my best friend. I was I was just, yeah, I was made up. I was so happy. The sonographer then placed a hand on my hand, and um, informed me that things didn't look good. What she had found was I had a blood clot laying behind my cervix, and there was also very little fluid surrounding the baby. She she was so lovely with me. She advised me to follow it up. So I had an appointment the following week with the hospital. She advised me to follow it up. She did me a little report, if you will, of her findings. She advised me to rest as much as possible, and said, in her opinion, it didn't look, the outcome didn't look good for me.
Oh.
Uh, I left it just. How do you deal with that? So you're being given the news that, it's this little girl. It's more than what you could have dreamed of. And I recall just thinking, this is my fault. This is my punishment because I said the words, I'm
Oh.
going to have an abortion. Is this my punishment? Um, Things then obviously spiraled more, so the bleeding continued. We was unsure in with the bleeding if that's when my I was losing my fluids. I was advised to terminate the pregnancy, which, yeah, I declined. And the reason I declined that is because I'm a big believer in fate, and I kind of felt that this baby has come to me for a reason. This has happened for a reason, and I'm going to let my daughter decide her own fate, and I'm going to do everything I can to continue with this pregnancy. The boys weren't overly impressed because I had them doing more chores around the house to enable me to rest up more. I was allowed to work from home throughout that period as well. And then we get into December, and I I was unwell. I was having pains. There was this pain that I'd never felt before in my breasts, and something isn't right. And oh, it was it. I cried with the pain. As it was out of hours, I was advised to attend the delivery suite, which I did. I was then admitted after some tests and monitoring. I think looking back, they believed I was going to miscarry. I was also showing high protein in my blood sample. So I was admitted. I was put on a ward in a bay of four with an expectant mum and two new mums with newborn babies. I think after a couple of hours, it clicked with somebody that my pregnancy isn't going to go that far, and I was moved to a side room. I was placed on an IV drip of antibiotics, and I was told that they would monitor me, they would scan me. Again, the termination for medical reasons came up. Again, I declined, and I spent 6 days in hospital. And the day that I was discharged, again, the termination for medical reasons was brought up, and they asked if they could bring a paediatrician to come and speak with me. She highly advised it, was the consultant's words. I highly advise a termination for medical reasons. And this paediatrician came along, and they talked about complications that could arise should the pregnancy go any further. And I just recall sitting there thinking, this is my choice, and how many times do I need to say? I was discharged again after declining it. I was discharged and came home told to rest.
Stacey, sorry, I
Yeah,
don't like to interrupt you, but can I ask, did they give you a
yeah.
reason as to why they kept offering this termination for medical reasons?
Just it was in the interest because the baby could be born with so many different complications. Obviously, the growth wasn't going as it should. There could be issues with the limbs. There could be issues with the brain, with organs. Just yeah, too much to kind of take in, really. But that's sort of the gist of what they were saying. So yeah, so we came home. I then attended a consultant appointment on Christmas Eve, the 24th. He was lovely. He was lovely. He got it. Even it, his opinion, he shared his opinion, but he got it. And we put a plan in place that I would be scanned every week. I would attend every 2 days the pregnancy unit just to be monitored and to be checked. And we would go to, I would have steroids from 23 weeks, 5 days to mature baby's organs. I left hospital feeling great, feeling positive. It's our first Christmas together, and this time next year we're going to have a little bundle of joy. I felt positive. Christmas Day came, everything was great. We did the presents, and then we went to visit my parents and swap presents and have bacon butties. We then left my parents to come home for a little while. We were having dinner there that year, but we'd come home for a few hours, and I took unwell. I felt dizzy, I felt hot, I felt cold, I had pains, and then what can only be described as Daniel's words were, it was like I was having a fit. My eyes rolled, my lips went blue. Um, Daniel called for an ambulance. The ambulance came. I was admitted into hospital again on delivery suite, and I was pretty much just left. And I just recall just shaking, just shivering. It's so cold. I was given some paracetamol. I had a high temperature, so they brought the temperature down. They monitored me. Baby's heart rate seemed fine. I seemed okay. They just wanted to keep check on my temperature, and these pains. The pain subsided, and after a number of hours, I was discharged. And I was delighted. I can go home and have Christmas dinner with the family that are waiting for us, which we did. We had a lovely time. I recall eating dinner and standing in my parents' front room, and I just recall sort of swaying. My dad's, what on earth are you doing? You're making me dizzy. I don't know if I'm in labour. I don't feel right. We came home. We went to bed. We were led in bed watching Mrs. Brown's Boys, and I don't feel right. And I thought, I wonder if I go to the toilet, if that's maybe what I might need to do. Um, so I took myself to the toilet, and within a few minutes, something felt a bit funny, and there was a little pair of feet. I called for Daniel. Daniel came. He got straight on to the emergency services. They then called back. By this point, I'm standing. I'm sort of crouching. I was advised to try and lay down, which I replied, I can't really do that. I've got a baby between my legs. It's not possible. And at 11:26 p.m. Christmas Day, Princess was born at home, just as the paramedics arrived. And sadly, she wasn't alive. I was then taken into hospital with the baby. Princess, we called it. That was a nickname, Princess. Um, I was taken to hospital. I recall being in the ambulance and I could just feel this blood. I could feel it. And I just kept apologizing to the paramedic. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm bleeding. And it just felt like I was bleeding out. Um, Gets to hospital and there was complications for delivering the placenta to the point they were prepping me to go into theatre. They managed to get it. What? Yeah, they managed to get it out. It came out in bits, so it's believed that earlier that day my placenta had had a placenta abruption. Um, and then we were once things had settled down and that had been delivered, I was then asked if I wanted to see my daughter. We got to spend time with her. We got given a full Lewis memory box. We was told about memory making. Um, but we were left in peace. They'd pop in, but we were left in peace to just have that quiet time. I was discharged on Boxing Day morning, and I recall just clutching this for Lewis box
Hmm.
and a bunch of leaflets. What what do I do? What 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 do I say to the boys? What how are people going to be with me? What what does life look like now?
Mm.
And I just thought, I've got no one. I've got nowhere. There was no support given the Christmas period. The only support that I was offered was a bereavement nurse who was on annual leave for the holidays. I just felt so alone. So, wow.
That's a lot.
Came home. I had a glass of wine at 11 a.m. in the morning. I then went to bed and slept. And the days that followed were just visiting. I got to take my mum to meet her. Um, we had a blanket made for her. I'd looked everywhere to try and find a little dress for her or just something. I couldn't. So we had a little blanket made for her. And then, yeah, it was just looking ahead to the funeral, which took place on the 6th of January. And then back to work. Uh, when I returned to work, I recall Daniel starting to struggle, which I believe is fairly normal. They try and hold it together for the woman, and then once the woman gets back to routine and starts showing signs of moving forward, that's when the man can kind of fall apart. Uh, yeah, so that's kind of where we're at. I attended a couple of SANs, local groups. I didn't take anything from it other than this is a thing. This happens. It's not just happened to me.
Mm.
I met some wonderful ladies, but again, I didn't take anything from it. So I began looking on social media. I came across Aching Arms, and in 2018, I began to volunteer for Aching Arms. I used that as I called that my princess time. I dedicated the bears. I delivered the bears, and I would take the bears each year to the local memorial service, which it was as sad as it is. It was lovely if you placed that bear in the hands of a bereaved parent, just to watch them hold it,
Mm.
and they knew that you got it. Very rewarding. I so that was a role that I did for 7 years. So I did that up until June of this year. In May of this year, my mum was had the news that her lung cancer had returned. And talks with Daniel. I'm still with Daniel. We're happily married, by the way. I decided to give up work. Life's too short. Here's my mum being told she has cancer for the third time of her life, and life's too short. I wasn't happy in the jewelry industry anymore. I wasn't getting any satisfaction or anything out of the job. So it was decided that I would give notice at work. I would take some time out to reflect on where I wanted to go, what I wanted to do, but also to be able to offer that support to my parents while they were going through treatment. The day that that was decided, I came across a post for a job role of a hospital coordinator for a baby loss charity. And I thought, I can do that. This is it. And I'd met Lucy in the December at the memorial service. So straight away I got onto her, tell me more, tell me more. So excited. Mum was, yes, go for it. This is your calling. This is what you've wanted to do. This is where your passion is. Go for it. And I did. And I'm absolutely delighted to sit here today in my Ellie's Gift uniform and share with you that I took the role. I began on the 1st of October of this year. I'm the only paid member of the team. So Ellie's Gift received funding from a company called The Four that allows me to do my role for 2 years. So I'm here. I'm in the Northwest, and my my mission is to embed Ellie's Gift wherever I can, mainly across the Northwest because it's local. But if I can go further afield with it, then so be it. Ellie's Gift, I like to call it love in your pocket because that's what it is. It's the first of its kind. It's an app, downloadable app. It's full of resources. There's journaling tools. There's meditations. The app was developed by, as I mentioned, Lucy. Lucy's bereaved mum. Lucy sadly lost her little girl Ellie in 2017. And it was through her lived experience of termination for medical reasons where she came with the idea of Ellie's Gift, because there was nothing back then. She pulled things together, and what a remarkable job that she has done. Um, yeah, there's so much that it offers, the feedback that we get, and being a bereaved mum myself and seeing it, and it's not just another leaflet you're given. So many people are just on the phone. It's so quick just to grab your phone, and you can be anywhere. You can be walking to work, you could even sit at home, wherever you are, and you can access this fantastic app, these resources.
And it's amazing. We use our phones, like you said, for everything. We have an app for everything. So why not have an app for this as well? So what sorts of things can people use it for? So if you're a bereaved parent and you're hearing about this for the first time, how is this app going to benefit you?
So, as I said, the app was developed with TFMR in mind. That was Lucy's lived experience. Prior to Lucy losing Ellie, she took on a hypnobirthing course, which she will tell you herself she's grateful that she did that, because she applied a lot of that when she was given the news that she had to deliver Ellie. It took away a lot of her anxieties, and it kept her grounded to hold that space and to embrace, Ellie's delivery. So the app really is with that in mind. There's checklists on there. So if you're given the news that your baby has died, that is when the app should be suggested to you at that moment. Early intervention. So many mums that have said they wish would have had access to it. So there's checklists on there. There's breathing techniques on there, so it keeps you grounded. The app also benefits after loss. So with the meditations, again the breathing techniques, keeping you grounded. The journaling tools are also great, so you can monitor. It will prompt, so the app will ask you, and you will do it in butterflies, so you will go up however you're feeling. And
Okay.
there's also space for you to write your thoughts and feelings. And again, that's all logged on there, so you can reflect back on that. Journaling was a great one for me when we lost Princess. That's how I
Mm. Yeah, I was
took
just
time
there.
to reflect. So yeah, I'm a big one for the journaling.
Yeah, me
There's
too.
also support. Sorry, there's also support for the healthcare professionals.
Oh, that's really good.
So yeah, there's meditations for them to access. They can also sign up, and they will get a new meditation each month. I think, yeah, Lucy's a very big believer in self-care, and given the difficult role that they do, they're seeing it daily. That's a big one. And there's also the social community that we have. So you can connect with other members. That Lucy will run mindfulness sessions. We held a week throughout Baby Loss Week. Lucy actually launched her first book.
Oh, amazing.
So yeah, she's Wonder Woman. She really is. But yeah, she launched her first book, so it coincides. It works alongside the app. It's more for afterwards. It's, I would say, 4 months post loss,
Okay.
and it's an 8-week mindful guide to mindfulness.
That's really good. I am a firm believer in things like that. I definitely think
Yeah,
you need to always take the holistic view. And for me personally, I journaled. I say journaled. I used the notes app in my phone, but I
yeah,
used that a lot at the beginning because I couldn't get things out of my head, and that's the one way I could get it out of my head if I read it down, and then I
yeah,
could sleep. And I would write it and not look at it again. And then maybe, I mean, some of stuff I took years to look back on and to read it. But I think it's really good that, and then to have the mindfulness as well with the meditation. I took to yoga as well when I lost my son. That helped me so much. So actually, I think this app sounds really, really good, and especially with for people who are having to have terminations for medical reasons, and that's been such a difficult period for them. It's good to have that. I suppose that it's support, isn't it? But it's not, obviously it's not a person, but it's still support, and it's especially for those people that are quite private. Because I think when I speak to people, there's a lot of shame attached to termination for medical reasons. So people aren't as willing or confident, should I say, secure enough to share their journeys with people so much. So they probably keep a lot of stuff to themselves. So to be able to have this app and still get support and get advice without having to compromise your privacy, I think that's amazing, actually. It's really thoughtful.
yeah, yeah. And again, just touching, it's not like, for me, it was, I had a handful of leaflets, and they just get put on the side. And but your phone, 9 times out of 10, your phone is in your hand, or it's in your pocket, or it's next to you. It's just so easy. So yeah, I think it's a wonderful resource. Yeah,
And how do
I
it?
I wish I wish there'd have been something like this for me, because I definitely would have accessed it.
Mm. And I think, well, it sounds like you probably still could as well. I think it doesn't sound like there's a timeline on it either.
No,
So,
no,
even for people like us who we lost our children a little while ago, we can still find benefits from it.
yes, yeah. It's nice. So on specific days, so the 2nd of November, that's the day that we found out we was expecting Princess. I always try to hold a bit of time for myself, just to have that, to make sure that I'm looking after myself, and I'm just taking that time to hold my feelings and my thoughts.
Yeah.
Um, and then again, Christmas, there'll be time held for her. So it's been great. I recently lost my mum as well.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So I have used a couple of the meditations just to take a few breaths and just again just reflect. So yeah, it's a great tool. It's a great tool.
Oh, it does sound amazing. But you also sound amazing as well. Like listening to your story and what you've gone through. I mean, you've had a lot of battles, having
Yeah.
to have a 3-month-old baby and, to lose your partner. I mean, not even just to lose your partner, to go through what you went through beforehand and then to lose your partner. How did you navigate that? For any of the mums listening, because we often hear, was it this is a podcast where we talk about baby loss. So we hear what it's like when we lose our babies, but to raise a baby whilst losing a partner, like we don't talk about things like that. So I'm thank you for sharing that with us. And how did you navigate that?
As I said, I was very young. It was tough. It was, I would say, my first. I'd lost grandparents when I was younger, but you don't understand when you're younger. So I'd say this was my first experience of grief. Uh, yeah, there was lots of tears, lots of anger, lots of why me? Why is this happening to me? There was lots of guilt. Why couldn't I have done more? Why couldn't I have stopped this from happening? Why couldn't I make him see what he had? There was fear, how am I going to cope with this baby, with David? How do I bring him up? How do I provide for him as a sole parent? What am I going to say to him when he's older? When do I tell him about his dad? Do I tell him the real reason, how his dad died? I think I got through it with the support of my parents. Had it not have been for my parents, I don't know where things would have gone. They were wonderful, in terms of supporting me, in terms of helping with David and ensuring that we had everything that we needed. And they continued to do so, right up until this day. It was tough. I think I taught myself that addiction is an illness.
Mhm.
It's nothing to be ashamed about. To begin with, I was ashamed to tell people that he was a heroin addict, because how does that reflect on me,
Mhm.
as not only as a person but as a mum as well? And it's nothing to be embarrassed or ashamed about that. They were his choices. That was his illness, and I had to accept that. And I also took, comfort's the wrong word, but I think what helped me was, how long before I would have started?
Mm.
Would would that have been, being the young age that I was, would he have become a big influence on me? Would I have gone down that path?
Mm. Yeah.
And I think I'd take a bit of relief, I think, from that. And
Yeah. And I mean, also, I don't know if this is the right thing to say or not, but there's a lot of chaos comes with that lifestyle. There's a lot of chaos attached to that lifestyle. So
Yeah,
not
yeah,
saying that your son's better off because of God, I'm not saying that at all. But either way, life could have been difficult, whether he was here or whether he wasn't here, is what I'm trying to say.
yes, yeah,
Because living that lifestyle brings a lot of chaos, and it's not something you want a newborn baby around.
no, 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 not at all,
Yeah.
not at all.
No, but I take my hat off to you because you didn't have a choice in the situation, but you've dealt with it, and you've cracked on with it. And there's something else that I just wanted to touch on as well. When you talk about your daughter, and you say about when you first found out that things weren't going too well, and you blamed yourself. I hope that's not the case anymore. I hope you've changed and you've moved on from that now, because you know you can't,
Yeah,
for having a thought. You can't be blaming yourself for having a thought.
yeah. I think I was just angry with myself because, as I said, from a very early age, I just wanted to be a mum. I didn't want the glamorous beautician job or, being the nursery nurse. I wanted to be a mum. And to look back and think that was my reaction, I believe was just shock
Mm,
and fear. It didn't take me too long to snap out of it to realize that actually, what are you saying? This is all you've ever wanted. And you want this baby, you've got the love for this baby. And what does it matter if the relationship doesn't go anywhere? Because it's your baby and you've got the love and you can do it. You've done it twice.
yeah,
You can do it again. Yeah.
you did
So
it.
no, I yeah. The feelings that I hold from my loss, I I now carry as a passion. And that passion is with Ellie's gift and throughout the baby loss community as well, where we all support each other in the work that we do.
Mm,
It's just nobody talks about it, do they?
no, yeah, that's it, and that's why I started this podcast, because I got so frustrated of, one, being misunderstood, and two, just making everybody feel awkward just because I'm mentioning my son, And before that, the miscarriages that I experienced, no one ever touched on them. So they weren't even acknowledged, but they weren't even acknowledged by myself, to be honest with you. So yeah, it is a real taboo subject, and it really shouldn't be, because, like you said, when you went to Sands and you discovered Sands, that you realize that actually it happens to a lot more people than we realize. But because it's such a taboo subject, we don't talk about it. But
Yeah.
as we know from statistics, excuse me, it's a 1 in 4 women experience baby loss. So we are surrounded by it, but we don't talk
Yeah.
about it. And there's so many families suffering in silence. And I don't say women, because it takes two to make a baby. And
Yes.
so the families are suffering, and men probably more, because there definitely isn't a space for them.
No. And they feel this that they have to be this masculine
Mhm.
and they can't show their emotions and yeah.
Yeah. And their job is to look after everybody else. So
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
glad that your partner did have time, allow himself time to grieve and to feel things, because we need to. We really need to. We're just storing it for another day otherwise.
Yeah. No, he was a wonderful support to me and as I hope I was to him when he needed that. Um and that's yeah. And I knew after Princess that this guy's forever. This is the guy I'm meant to be with. Yeah, hence we got married 2 years later
Oh,
and we're happily married, yeah.
oh,
Yeah,
that's
I proposed to him. I proposed to him.
Did you do it on
Um,
the weekend? You did,
yes, it
yeah.
was. Yeah,
Yeah, why not? Why not? Oh, that's lovely. That's really nice to hear as well.
yeah,
Because grief can impact relationships really negatively quite often. So I'm glad that it brought you closer and stronger. Oh, that's good. And he's still supporting you now. Does he get
he
involved
is. He's
in
great.
any of the work that you do?
Pardon?
Do you get involved in any of the work that you do?
No, he'll come along to the memorial service that's held every year. So he'll come along and he'll take an interest in what I'm doing and but no, he just lets me get on with it. He knows it makes me happy. And as he says, happy wife, happy life.
Yeah, yeah. My husband's the same. He feeds me while I'm doing all these things, but he doesn't
Yeah.
really get involved with it. Oh no, that's really nice. And thank you so much for sharing your story. It is it touched me. I mean, they all touched me, but I could feel myself welling up a little bit when I was listening to you because it is
Oh,
you went through, like I say, you went through a lot, and I'm pretty sure that Princess felt the love from you because it sounds like you
yes.
fought for her every step of the way. So,
Yeah. I don't regret it. I don't regret my choice. And that's for me to hold. And that's my memories.
and did you ever? I'm gonna go on this side because I do think I always find it's important, but it's not many people like to talk about it. But did you ever challenge with the hospitals or anything like that? Because obviously you went into hospital and they sent you home. Because your symptoms to me, I am no medical professional, but first thing I thought was sepsis when I was listening to you when you describing what was happening to you. So I was shocked that they sent you home.
Yeah. That sent me home. I just don't think that it was Christmas Day. I don't think they could be bothered. And to be fair, I just wanted out of there.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but no, I never challenged it. I did get a copy of my medical notes throughout, so that from the period from my pregnancy, but there was nothing untowards in there. And to be fair, what would it achieve for me? It's not going to bring her back. It's not going to change that experience for me. It happened. It can't be changed. So no, I never challenged it.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you're supported in other ways now, aren't you? So,
Yes, yes.
yeah. So, okay. So, everyone that's listening, then, if they wanted to access Ellie's gift, how do they do that?
So they can go to our website, www.elliesgift.com, or they can do the free download. We are on the App Store and the Play Store, or they can drop me an email and I'll be happy to send them over some information. My email is Stacy, Stacy, at Ellie's, Ellies dot gift, and I'll be happy to share more with them.
Okay. And I'll put links in the chat as well from when I release the podcast. And about any social media or anything like that.
So, yes, we are on social media. That is where you will find a lot of our events are advertised. There's also the opportunity for you to connect with other members, and also the maybe polls that we put out there, because we do like to keep the app updated, and it's all through lived experience, and it's through the feedback of the bereaved parents as well, that it's thanks to them how we can keep it updated.
Okay. And that's amazing. And I just like to point out as well that Stacey, she found me, so she's actively going out of her way to find as many people she can to spread the word about this app. So please, anyone that's listening, please do take a look. It does sound absolutely amazing. And if those of you that are at the beginning stages of your journey, it sounds like it'd be a really, really good tool for you. So please do have a look.
Thank you, Louisa.
And thank you so much for coming on today and for sharing your story with us.
Thanks for having me.